In the following season, we're going to be looking at the CSS called Display Grid instead of the Display Flex we've already been through. And here I just outline what a grid actually could look like, and I just used the experience design from Adobe to do this. And here we see a lot of different boxes. So what this basically means in the case we have here, this is what we call a 12 column grid. So basically there's 12 columns going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on up to 12, and we usually divide them into smaller numbers. So 12 grid means we have 12 columns to work with. We have the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. They will increase in width compared to how many columns they need to span across, of course. So the maximum amount would be this one down here with 12 columns. That would be the entire page, so basically 100% of the width of whatever we're creating, and 1 would be 1/12 of that. That's like 8.3% or something like that. The reason why we need to know this is because many pages use this structure to build their design and their pages. I'm going to show you a few examples of what I actually mean. So the first one I have here is BBC, and if we look at this, we can start seeing a structure compared to what we have here if we look at it with these columns or grid systems. And the first one here, we can kind of see the page as a whole. This is the whole width of the page from here to here, and this here is basically around 50%. So if we were to look at this with 12 grid system, this would be approximately 6. This would span 6 columns. These would span 3 columns and 3 columns. That would equals 12 in total. The reason I also know this because you can actually put a column grid on top of this to check this. So this is how the page looks, and this is how the page looks using a column grid. So basically we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. If we look at the design I have here in my Adobe, I can't remember, the Adobe Experience Design here, we can see that we have a span of 6, span 3, span 3. So the first part of the page is actually being built with this specific template. So a lot of people are using this, and this is just one example. And another one is Lexis.com. If you want to go, it's a pretty page. It does the exact same thing. So a column grid, it could be 12 or something they have made. We have half here, so that would be 6 and 3 span and 3 span, 6 span, and we can just continue. So down here is 6, 3, 3, 6, 3, 3, and we can divide them up even more into 4, 4, 4, and of course 7, 5, 5, 6, 6, and so on and so on. But these grid systems really help you create and structure your design, and how we do this is basically, I'm just going to remove some of this now so you can see. So I'm going to remove all these, that's too much. I don't want to remove the back one and that one. So you can see these lines here, these yellow lines, I created, and you can change them up as to what fits wherever your goal is, but I created some that were 80 pixels wide, and the height doesn't really matter, but they're 80 wide, and then they have a gap of 10 on each. And depending on your design, of course, you need to make it fit. I used a 1080 in width here, so that makes my 80 pixels width in my spans work really well together. There are places you can start manipulating and trying to change up things. There's one here called 1200pixels.com, where you can go in and actually change things around. So I use the 1080 here, and you can see it actually helps me check out what it looks like. And here we can change the gutter or the gap. So now we have a bigger gap, and now you can see the column width change from 80 to 70. I put it back to 10. And we can also change the amount of columns. So quickly we can see how that looks instead. But again, it really depends on your design. But using a grid of some sort, grid 4, 12, 16, whatever you really want, is really going to help you structure both your code and your design, so it's coherent both ways, and also for users when they look at it.